Welcome to the Thriving Farmer Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kilpatrick. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and celebrate sustainable farming. We believe that you can build a profitable, sustainable farm that gives you true farm freedom. Join us as we talk to farmers, innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs to glean their top takeaways in business and life.
Hey organic farmers, the clock is ticking. If you're fed up with fake organics flooding the market and driving prices down, and you want to protect the integrity of what you grow, now's the time to act. The Real Organic Project is a farmer-led, no-cost, add-on certification that helps farmers like us stand out, showing eaters that our farms are the real deal, soil-grown, pasture-raised, and rooted in the original spirit of the organic movement. The deadline to apply is Tuesday, April 15th. Don't wait. Visit realorganicproject.org/apply and join the 1,000+ farmers fighting to keep organic honest and thriving. Hey, Thriving Farmers, Michael Kilpatrick here with yet another episode of the Thriving Farmer Podcast. And today my guest is Maren Beard, who is the designated pizza farmer and a co-owner of Luna Valley Farm in Decorah, Iowa. On their certified organic regenerative farm, Maren and her partner Tom raise 100% grass-fed cattle and sheep while serving up some of the best wood-fired pizza to their community. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Absolutely. So give me a little bit of where are you geographically, and talk a little bit about your climate. Because I remember we were just chatting about how you got a 3-inch blizzard yesterday.
Yeah, so we are located in the very northeast corner of Iowa, in Decorah, Iowa. So about 10 minutes from the Minnesota border and about 40 from the Wisconsin border with the Mississippi River. So we are part of the driftless region. Maybe you've heard of that.
Yes.
A little rougher topography. And so our farm is located deep down in a valley, but has lots of valley sides and kind of hilltops as a part of it too. And we have a beautiful creek bordering our farm as well, the Canoe Creek.
And how big is your farm? How many acres?
You know, our farm itself is 133 acres, but we farm about a little over 200.
Okay, gotcha. So talk a little bit about like your background. What brought you to the farm? Did you always want to be a farmer?
So my husband Tom and I both co-own and operate this farm together, and he grew up a half a mile up the road in his parents' Organic Valley Dairy Farm. So his joke is too far. He just kind of, we bought this farm from our neighbor Ronnie. Born and raised here and still lives up the road. And I was born in rural Wisconsin, and both of us have had gardens since we were young children. Parents who cared a lot about local food systems. And I've got a master's in sustainable food systems and worked in campus sustainability at Luther College in Decorah for about 10 years. So both kind of deeply embedded in food production, local food systems, and found each other and found this place and have been here ever since.
Very cool. Okay, so when you started the farm, did you know that you wanted to be a pizza farm, or kind of what was the evolution of the farm?
You know, that's a great question. So Tom was working at his parents' organic dairy, but also was tending a flock of grass-fed sheep. So we have 130 ewes, and all their lambs are born in May, so pretty soon. Have some pretty pregnant ewes out there, and beef cattle. And so Tom went to college out in Western Iowa, always knew he wanted to farm. I knew I wanted to be involved in sustainability in some, form. And so I did campus sustainability for 10 years, looking at local food systems, energy systems, waste systems. But local food really has always been my deep passion. And that's kind of, so in terms of farming, yes, Tom has always farmed. I left. We have a lot to celebrate in August and September. So we have Tom's birthday, our anniversary, and my birthday. So back in 2016. We decided to celebrate those occasions by visiting pizza farms. So we went to Minnesota and 2 in Wisconsin. And on the way back from the third one, we both were pretty quiet for most of that 2.5-hour-long trip home. And finally, one of us said, I think we should do this. We live in a beautiful farm. We love hosting people. And so over the course of the next year, we ran a Kickstarter campaign, wrote a business plan, secured bank financing, and transformed part of our old barn into a commercial kitchen. And bought an Italian wood-fired pizza oven. And then in less than a year from that, deciding we were going to do this, we opened. And it was like the first day of school, but we sold 100 pizzas that first pizza night. And then, it was kind of a soft launch fall, and then decided over the winter that I would leave my full-time job and the security of that and all that comes with a full-time off-farm gig, and we would
Mhm.
both be time on the farm and go for it, and, no looking back, and it's just been wonderful.
Awesome. Okay, so let's break down a little bit of this. You have a commercial kitchen that's on farm, and so I'm assuming you're inspected by the Department of Health?
We sure are. We sure are.
Okay. And then with that commercial kitchen, I'm assuming you make all your own dough there, and I'm assuming that some of the toppings are sourced from the beef and the lamb that are on the farm as well?
Actually, we don't really use occasionally, we'll do a pizza with lamb on it. We used to raise a
Okay.
few, and for a variety of reasons, we used to do glamping, we used to have a few pigs, and we've kinda decided, for our sanity, it's just best to focus on doing what we're doing and doing it really well and to kinda narrow our
Okay.
and so we don't raise pigs anymore. Most of the meat we use on pizzas is pork, but we're able to source it from an amazing local processor that's just across the state line in Wisconsin in Viroqua.
Okay.
So we humanely raised heritage breed pork, but it's not raised here. But one of our things, we do grow some of the vegetables for the pizzas, but one of our things has always been, we attract a lot of people to the farm for pizza nights, and we want that economic activity to really help out our local food economy and help build a more resilient food system. And so we turn around and spend a lot of our food dollars then, our pizza dollars, our beverage dollars,
Mhm.
on the local food system. And so we're supporting a lot of other small farms and food producers through our enterprise.
Okay, gotcha. And then talk a little bit about, like, what was your marketing to kinda start the pizza night? Was it just, through word of mouth or social media?
That's a good question. So, again, that first pizza night, September 1st, 2017, was like the first day of school. But I would
Mhm.
say, looking back, that Kickstarter campaign that we ran, I think it was in March 2017, really was just amazing. It ended up having, I think we raised just shy of $16,000, had 235 backers. And so some of those people, what they were buying, it was $25 for a pizza ticket.
Okay.
They could
Yes, gotcha.
permit that first fall, and so that generated a lot of, traffic for us. We also, leading up to our first public pizza night, had called it a guinea pig party, where we had people come out to, taste our first pizzas. So people bought tickets to that guinea pig party through that Kickstarter campaign as well. When we had a friends and family party, um, but, yeah, we do. We attract a lot of locals. I'm actually just about to send out the email that we do every year. So we did that Kickstarter campaign back in 2017. And then the next year, we're like, actually, startup money in the spring is very nice. And if people
Uh-huh.
want to prepay for pizza, let's do this again. And people were asking us about it. And so every year at about this time, we open it up and we offer a pizza CSA that essentially
Okay.
is that we have it open for 2 or 3 weeks. People can subscribe anywhere from $150 up to $1,000, and we load a gift card with that amount plus 5% bonus credit as a thank you for
Uh-huh.
Anita coming out. And, yeah, so we have, I think last year we had 75 different, individuals and families buy those, and it continues to be a way that we're able to, um, have our community of pizza eaters, local pizza eaters support our farm and not have to use an operating note in the spring.
Uh-huh.
So
Yes.
it's been a really nice thing for us.
Okay, alright. And so then talk us through, like, what does a week look like on your farm?
Oh boy. So Tom is the farmer. That's what we like to say. He's the farmer. I'm the pizza farmer. So Tom's day to day is really um, tending our livestock. The sheep get moved every day to fresh pasture. The cattle are moved every couple days to fresh pasture. We make all of our own hay and winter feed, and so he's
Mhm.
making a lot of hay and trying to time that perfectly so we have really high quality feed in the winter. We also do about 20 acres of certified organic corn every summer. So not a ton, but it definitely helps with our cash flow to have that crop. And then my week really is spent, so we do pizza by reservation only. And so on Mondays, I'm finalizing the pizza menu, placing orders, opening up the reservation system for the upcoming weekend, uh,
Okay.
meeting with customers. And then Tuesdays are my dough day,
Mhm.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays, where I make all the dough. So I'm typically making enough for 400 and 450, 500 pizzas.
Oh, wow.
And then on Wednesdays, I've got a staff person here and we roll all the dough into dough balls. Thursdays, we fire up the oven and we cook all of our ingredients in the wood-fired oven. So all our entire
Okay.
fridge, depending on the season, there could be some red peppers to roast, or eggplant, or asparagus. We really mushrooms. We really focus on seasonality and using
Hmm.
as much as we can. So we have a gas fired or a gas range in our kitchen, but we actually have never used it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Everything is done out in the wood-fired oven. We just love the flavor that it imparts, and it also helps us get a jump start at heating up that oven for pizza service over the weekend.
Okay. All right. And then what days are you open for people to get pizza?
Yeah, it varies a little bit year to year and month to month, but typically it's May through October, and most often Friday and Saturday evenings. We've started doing
Okay.
a midday service in October on Saturdays because the daylight disappears and it gets so much cooler
Yes.
in October evenings, and that's been really well received. Um,
Okay.
most Friday and Saturday nights.
All right. And so then talk a little bit about how you've had to change the farm setup to handle the amount of people that come onto the farm every week.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're located about 2 miles down a gravel road. So,
Oh.
it requires an adventurous person to come out, and we luckily have a lot of adventurous people in our circle that want to come out for pizza. But in terms of the farm, I mean, Tom, we really keep things tidy. I mean, as you know, small
Uh-huh.
farm, a lot of machinery and tractors
Yes.
and lizards and fencing, and that's something we're really in tune with. Is needing, we have a lot of people out on a typical pizza night. It's probably 400 people and lots of children. And we want our farm to be a place that people can unwind and relax, but also be safe. And so, we use sometimes we use sheep netting to keep people out of areas we don't want them
Uh-huh.
to electronet. But we try to keep things really well picked up and tucked away in buildings. And so it looks like a pretty idyllic small farm in many ways because you show up and it's just like, oh, there's a sweet barn and a pavilion
Uh-huh.
and a wood fired oven and cattle out grazing in the bottom and sheep off grazing on the hillside.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's a lot of work for us to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you go to your Instagram, you have a great Instagram, and there's a video that kind of shows like an entire way through that, which I highly recommend. I think from June 9th, 2024. So I highly recommend folks go and check that out. And you got solar on the farm. So yeah, and you got the nice thing about where the farm is located, it's kind of up on the hill and you kind of look down over the whole valley. So that is really idyllic as well.
Yeah, we love our location, and there's very limited cell phone reception out here too. And so that's one thing we've noticed is that people really are talking to each other, and that's
Uh-huh.
why we started doing this in the first place, was really to create a community gathering place. And that's what it ends up being. I mean, there's honestly some nights though, because of the draw from, we draw a lot of people in from Des Moines and Minneapolis, and Decorah is just such a beautiful community that
Yeah.
people travel here as a destination place to come and experience this place. There's actually some nights, it's rare, but there are some nights where Tom and I don't really know many customers.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
is
Yeah.
great for a rural community. You think we know everyone here, but there are just so many people coming to experience the magic of Northeast Iowa.
Yeah. So then, based on thinking kind of like how if you're open for 2 days, that means you're doing about 225 pizzas a night, approximately.
Yeah, right. On average, I mean, I'd say our limit is kind of 250 because we usually serve from about 4:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
Crank out so many. So there's some nights that we definitely sell out early in the week, and
Yeah.
miss out those weeks. But other weeks we could do more than we do, and it just kind of depends on what's going on.
Uh-huh.
A couple years ago, I mean, one of the things was we didn't have covered seating. We used to kind of tuck people into the old part of the unfinished
Gotcha.
barn, and some folks love that. And people still request it, which is kind of funny. But we built this 40 by 60 open air covered pavilion, which is just so nice because if it's too sunny, if it's a little drizzly, we have these really
Uh-huh.
long picnic tables where people can take cover. And it's allowed a lot more people to kind of commit to having larger groups out here for pizza, for wedding rehearsals, or for employee appreciation dinners, or birthday parties, or whatever.
Gotcha. So you are starting to do larger groups and stuff as well.
Well, we always have been, but this just kind of gives them a little bit more assurance that yes, pretty much no matter the weather, we can eat there.
Yes, exactly. They're not like, well, got to check the weather on that. They know that they can keep the reservation.
Yeah, exactly.
So then with the you got the kitchen. So did you have to have a upgrade your septic system for to handle all the capacity of that?
That's a good question. So we actually we built a separate septic system for the barn when we built the commercial kitchen. And so yeah,
Gotcha.
because of our limited hours, it's kind of like high volume, but only 4 days or 4 hours, those 2 days.
Uh-huh.
The requirements weren't too steep just because there's enough time for the septic to catch up.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I know that's always the biggest challenge when you want to have one of these like destination farm venues that's so far off the beaten track or outside of a sewer system. It just that really is what is many times the limiting factor.
For sure. Yeah. And we do like a ticketed live music event every year. So we had 450 people here for that concert last September and are doing it again this year. And then we always bring in some porta potties as well, just to kind of supplement what we have,
Hmm. Gotcha.
which is good. But yeah,
Yeah.
comes to things like zoning too. So before we did our
Mhm.
commercial kitchen, our farm was zoned commercial, and there is a limited commercial zoning that's meant for agritourism. And so we
Mm.
actually zoned 60 acres of our farm to be that at that time, which was really
Gotcha.
we had
Okay.
zoning permission then to do the different enterprises that we do.
Yeah. So you had to separate that out and make that work. Okay. Yeah, because I think that's the big thing is an on-farm thing like this is just so attractive to folks, but there is a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to make this all work.
There are, yeah, there's a lot to consider.
Yeah. All right. So then talk a little bit about the type of pizzas you make. Obviously, you're doing stuff with a lot of local ingredients. What's your most popular pizza?
Oh, that's a good question. Most popular is definitely it's called the pig and fig. Um,
Okay.
And I'd say it's probably the most popular almost every night that we're open, but also sales wise is the biggest one because it's on the menu most of the season because it's not as seasonal as some other ones that we do. So it's got Italian sausage and soppressata, salami, and pepperoncini peppers, olive oil base, fresh mozz, shaved parm, and then a fig balsamic drizzle.
Oh
So it's
wow.
just a super simple, tangy, sweet, savory pizza that people really love. But then, during peach season, peaches are not local to us here, but we do a peachy pig
Hmm.
pizza that's got sometimes it's got Italian sausage and peaches, sometimes it's got bacon or prosciutto, just kind of depends what we choose to menu that time. It's
Hmm.
got basil and balsamic drizzle, and people just love that. Peaches on pizza really are a treat. But then,
Hmm.
come May, we do a sweet pea pizza with minty pea pesto base and then some pea shoots on top. And we try to
Oh
do
wow.
our special pizzas are designed to be a really awesome vegetarian pizza that could also be vegan, but also we offer the option for folks to add meat to that one as well. So I was born and raised vegetarian and I was for 28 years
Mm-hmm.
until I hooked up with Tom and got got hooked on grass fed meat. So I'm really in tune with that demographic and wanting to make sure that we have something that will be enjoyable for folks who are choosing not to eat meat.
Absolutely. And then, so your marketing at this point is pretty much people just know who you are and where you are, and they just come on out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've had less of a presence on Instagram and Facebook lately for whatever reason. I usually am more active during our open season from May through October, but we have an email list of about 3,500 people that's been growing over time. And when people come out for pizza or make their reservation, they've got the option to be added to that. And so
Okay.
I do like this time of the year, I'm starting to send out weekly emails. And then I do that for most of the pizza season as well. And so that's kind of a more targeted, I tell stories from our farm. We share pictures, we share date
Yes.
updates, invite people to order, make a reservation for pizza. And that's been a really effective marketing strategy for us. We've got a really high open rate um, and very high retention. So I
Yeah.
think that just like that, people can sometimes people maybe sign up and they're because they love our place, they're in town from California, and then go home and like, oh shoot, well I'm still on the list, but I'm not going to be there, and they might unsubscribe. But I think it's a good way for us to tell our story and to stay connected to our customers, and for more folks to feel that um, yeah energy of a small farm throughout the season.
Hmm. Yeah, and that connection. Now, you did do some glamping at a point. Talk a little bit about kind of what was behind that and how you set that up.
Yeah, good. So There was a Girl Scout camp located not too far from here, Camp Tehigwa. It was a beautiful Girl Scout camp, and it got sold, and they had an auction. And we noticed on the sale bill that they had wall tents. And we had long had a fascination with glamping. We'd kind of seen it when we'd been
Yeah.
traveling and seen it in magazines, and we're like, well, there isn't really glamping in Iowa. Maybe we should do it. So we went there and we bought 7 tents, sight unseen, thinking, well,
Okay.
maybe, so we ended up fixing up a couple of them and building platforms from rough sawn oak lumber from our farm in our native oak savanna, and opened it up for glamping in 2018. And pretty consistently, we would open up our weekend calendar in early
Mm.
February. And pretty consistently, our weekends, which were from May through September, would sell out in about 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
We were charging, $175 a night. And then we also offered some weekday stays, Tuesday through Thursday. It was a 2-night minimum, or weekends or Friday through Sunday. We could have charged more, since we were selling out so fast. I know we could have charged more, but it was like a 3-minute walk to the bathrooms, and
Yeah.
it's glamping. It's not. There's a king size bed in there, and we had the most fabulous guest. I mean, just the most
I can
wonderful
imagine. Yeah.
with us. But we decided, we've got small children, young children, so a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Decided last year, the increasing weather events are kind of keeping us up more at night when there's glampers here, because we just worry more about
Yes.
or are they okay? Should we go get them to bring them to our basement?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're already up with young children.
Yes. Yes.
We're like, I don't know. I think we'll pass on that. So we got these tents from the Girl Scout camp that was being sold, and put 2 of them up on oak platforms in our woods. They were tents for 12 by 14. We had a king size bed, nightstands. And then each of our platforms had a little deck off the back as well, where people could sit and enjoy their morning cup of coffee. We would offer, there's a little pour over coffee station with locally roasted coffee in our bathroom area in the hallway. People could self-serve. There were the mini fridge they could access, double shower, really nice bathrooms. But yeah, just kind of wake up in the woods, and sometimes a sheep would be right next to you in their paddock, and other times the cattle were, and other times you just had the woods to yourself. But we had really
Wow.
wonderful guests come and share our farm with us. We just decided, for a variety of reasons, to let that go last summer, and probably are not going to do it again this year. But we did sell a few of our tents to a local family that's hoping to pitch them in a really beautiful spot in the area. So, right,
Yeah. And obviously, what's required to make that happen is you had to have the bathrooms, you had to have the location. People were already coming to your farm for other things, and obviously the zoning for that. Was there any specific zoning that you required for the glamping, or is that under your commercial aspect?
Yeah, under our limited, what is it called? Limited commercial zoning, the agritourism zoning. I think that allows for up to 6 cabins.
Okay.
And so we were very much within that, with the 2, seasonal glamping sites. And we did
Gotcha.
we had a few more tents. We had 3 in rotation, because then if the wind blew a strap off of one or something happened, we could always have the option to put up the 3rd one. We never had to. But we did have more tents, and debated, well, should we just make this a bigger thing and have a manager that would be able to
Yeah.
6 tents or something? And that's the direction we could have gone. But instead, we decided just to back off it for now and put our energies elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, you're at a stage in your life too where you got young kids, and at that stage, I think it's the kids are what's most important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. For sure. And we at that time in our farm did not have temperature controlled, rodent proof storage either. And so every winter we were
Oh.
taking down the tents and the 2 king size beds and the nightstands and all the stuff, and bringing it into our house. And our house is an old
Oh, wow.
farmhouse, and we don't really have space for that. And to rearrange our house twice a year to, move stuff out, move stuff back in, just wasn't feeling worth it at the time, for that enterprise. But yeah, folks are thinking about glamping. I mean, for us, it was very, it's our highest margin enterprise by far once everything's paid off. I
Yeah.
highly recommend it. We did all of our booking through Airbnb, and that worked
Okay.
really well, just from the communication standpoint. People do it direct as well. And I'm sure we would have, I know we would have saved on fees and stuff that way, but it ended up being a good way for us to do it at the time.
Yeah. It's just simple.
It was
Again,
simple.
it's the systems. Yes. So talk a little bit about the grass farming side of your business. You've got the sheep, you've got the cattle. Talk a little bit about how that works.
Yes, we have 20 head of beef cattle, 20 cows, and so about 50 head on our farm right now when you take into account the heifers and steers and
Uh-huh.
and then 130 ewes. So we'll probably end up having close to 200 lambs in May. We direct market all of our grass-fed beef and don't really have a problem selling it. It's a really high-quality product. We sell a lot of ground beef to a local restaurant that uses it for smash burgers, and we call
Uh-huh.
them Pete Rights, but it's like an Iowa made right sandwich.
Okay. Yeah.
Ground beef to them, and then our lambs are also 100% grass-fed. We have kind of backed off on the direct marketing of lamb a little bit because wholesale lamb markets have been fairly strong at the sale barns and for the last decade
Uh-huh.
or so. And it's just a lot of lambs to market. And small meat producers that raise lamb end up paying a lot per head for processing compared to the bigger lamb
Yes.
processors. So I think we pay like over $100 a head for processing lamb, which ends up being like $4 per meat pound. And so it just ends up it's kind
Correct.
of expensive. So we do in the past, we have direct marketed up to 60 lambs worth of meat a year, and the rest have gone to the sale barn. In recent years, we've been direct marketing more like 15 or 20, and then the rest
Mm.
go to the sale barn. And we obviously are missing out on some premium there, but it's been nice for us to not hold lambs over the winter and feed them. And so we kind of market all of our lamb pretty much in November, early December, and then just have the ewes over the winter.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here looking at your website here, and you put the average price pound for meat for a whole lamb is $14 to $16.
Yep.
Because that processing fee.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I forget if I mentioned this to you, Michael, but one of, the next big thing for us right now is that we're working on building out a farm store, which will
Oh.
in early May. And so I anticipate when that farm store is open, because we've not really been selling any retail lamb cuts, it's mostly just been whole animals the last couple of years. Again,
Gotcha.
not having space to hold inventory or a good place to get good way to
Yes.
and not having our prices make sense to sell it wholesale to grocery stores and stuff just because of the processing cost. But if
Yeah.
the farm store is open, I anticipate that we're going to sell a lot. We're going to have a demand for more land than we can keep up with, and we'll probably have to start butchering more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So because now you're pulling people out with pizza and then they're going to come in and buy everything from the store, that's going to be pretty crazy. Yeah. You're going to be very busy.
This is little. We got a grant, Choose Iowa grant last year. We ended up adding on
Yeah.
barn a little bit for warehouse storage space, and then transforming our little 20 by 20 foot quote unquote garage into a farm store that actually looks really, really, really nice. We put burlap board and batten siding on it that
Yep.
some trees that were taken down on our farm for a different project. And yeah, we're going to try to have that again be a place where customers can access meat from our farms. Right now, it's just kind of clunky on pizza nights to be like, oh, you want 2 ribeyes? Okay, I'll go in the commercial kitchen and get them and then ring them up. And we're already
Yes.
at that enterprise that I think having a separate store where people can actually go and buy our meat, but also products from like 50 other small farms and businesses while they're at it will be really great.
Mm. So one of the are you guys are on a private well for your farm?
We are. Yep.
Interesting, because one of the requirements out here, which has actually prevented our growth, has been the EPA sign off on our water system because we would have too many people. But I'm looking at the now the dates that you're open. And I think the way you're getting around that is you're just not open that many dates. Okay. So that is one of the things that you've specifically looked at
Yeah.
to ensure we have
It's
compliance.
been a while since we've looked at that because we looked at that when we were doing our initial zoning.
Uh-huh.
Kind of threshold for a public well, but I want to say it was like 50 some days and we're open like 40.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I think, yeah, there's this very specific, I had a long conversation with them. We argued a little bit back and forth because we don't provide restroom facilities because we're in the city limits. But according to them, the fact that they come onto a location and touch the counter that we clean with the water from the water system, that means they're part of our water system.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of as far as what went, and I was at that point, I was like, this is not worth it. It's like, I do not need this. Yeah, at that point, it was when we started looking at, we just need to be on city water because that way we just avoid all of
Yeah.
this. Um, and it's literally city water for us is just tapping in, but it's, $12,000.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
And ours would not keep
yeah, yeah,
tapping in. Like we're 8 miles from town, and so we can't just be on city water. But we do. I mean, as part of our food license, we do test our water every year.
yeah.
And so it yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that thing too is they probably come out one time and they check that, they check that off, and then I think after that, they probably don't ask you about that again unless something majorly changes. So I'm assuming there's probably places out there that are over that but just haven't been asked the question.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're open. Yeah, because I was looking at because you're only open like May 2 and 3, and then 9 and 10, and then 16 and 17. So yeah, if you add all those up, you make sure that you're. Now the question will be: will the farm store only be open those days that you're open for
That is
pizza?
the question. So right now, our plan is to only have it open on pizza nights during those
Yeah.
hours. It's possible we'd end up adding some Sunday hours. We've got a staff person who'd be really excited about working Sundays, just
Uh
work
huh.
for 4 hours, and maybe we would go that route. But we'll see. I mean, we're hoping to have a lot of things in that store that could end up being supplementary snacks or whatever for
Uh huh. Uh huh.
charcuterie stuff, cheese sticks, meat sticks, um,
Yeah.
things like that. Bottles of natural wine that people could drink here or take to go. A more diverse beverage selection than we can offer at the bar.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Then also provisions for the weekend. There are so many out of towners that are renting cabins or maybe camping in nearby, and so we're going to have lots of brats and bacon in the freezer.
Uh huh.
And, try to really have things that people could buy from here to take and make a meal with over the weekend as well, or locals that are just like, oh, I'm out here, I want to have some stuff for the weekend or whatever. Well, I
Yeah.
think time will tell kind of what we end up selling, and ultimately it feels like a pretty low risk thing for us because we eat and we're stocking it with things we like to eat, and so
Yes. Yes.
we will,
Yes. Yeah. My wife will send the kids out shopping into our store. So
Great.
yeah. So yeah. Yesterday I was in the store and Simon comes out. He's my 7-year-old, and he's like, "Dad, we need greens for dinner." And then he wanted me to talk about all the different greens we had because he wanted to make sure there were greens he liked. So yeah, we ended up with Swiss chard, and he was happy with that. So
Oh, that's a win.
yes, yes. Yeah, he of all four of ours is a little picky right now. But I think kids will go through stages like that. And like our oldest will pretty much eat anything. Our third will pretty much eat anything. Obviously the fourth's too young to eat anything but, milk. So but yeah, right now he's at that age that's, we have to struggle to get the salad in him.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to go start this over again, what would you do different?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't want to say nothing because that probably wouldn't be true, but I really feel like we have been intentional with our growth. Um, and not, one thing I really appreciate about our business is that we've taken on comfortable amounts of debt and pushed ourselves a little
Mm.
too much, that it's a
Uh-huh.
burden and that we can't make decisions that are in the best interest of our family and our farm. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know, what would I do differently? I mean, it's like seeing how popular pizza nights have been. Um, Maybe we would have built the pavilion sooner. Maybe we would have done more construction early on and just taken on more debt from the onset. But I think we did what we felt comfortable with at the time, and time
Uh-huh.
2020. And I think it would have been hard to handle this volume, back then.
Yes.
So I don't know. I
Yes.
mean, in a sense, like when we first opened, we did just you walk up, you order pizza,
Uh-huh.
you maybe wait an hour and a half or two on a really busy night to get your pizza.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, you could wait in line for a while to order, wait in line to get your pizza. And then the pandemic hit, and we had to make shifts
Uh-huh.
to doing reservation only so we wouldn't have too many people here at a time, wouldn't have too many people
Uh-huh.
sit together. And I will tell you, we are never going back to non-reservation system because it allows us to really plan our weekends,
Uh-huh.
plan our staffing. It's a much better customer experience. You've got 4 kids, you can appreciate having
Oh,
fun
yes.
and wanting to show up and have your pizza ready. And it's like magic.
Yes, yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, my wife and I took our kids I think last year or the year before, to this burger place that was supposedly really good, and it was like an hour away. So we got there and literally we waited for a half hour just to sit down, and then we waited once we sat down 20 minutes. And you got kids, you know just how much of a battle that was to keep them entertained and keep them. Yes. Oh, it was a bad experience with good food.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the reservation system. I mean, we use that for our strawberries, and yeah, I would never go back any other way. But yeah, and I'm glad that you've made that and figured out how. And unfortunately, COVID was what had to make it happen. But yeah, yeah. So then during COVID, you just basically distanced at the tables, kept the tables further apart. Is that how
Well,
you navigated through
we
that?
didn't even really have, we had those long community style tables, but we didn't have the pavilion. So it was all just still open air dining. And I
Oh,
think we
okay.
had like flags out, kind of like, oh,
Uh huh.
flag. But then we learned, oh, our customer base is, really respectful of each other. They are keeping their distance
Uh huh.
outside anyway. And so we weren't as, as strict with all that. People kind of self-regulated, but yeah, tough to figure out what to do in those early days, early weeks.
Yeah, yeah. All right. And so what's the future hold for you? Are you going to keep the same or make any new changes?
Um, I mean, I think we're gonna stick with the reservation, stick with pizza. The big thing now is just kind of figuring out the farm store and getting that ready to open in 5-6 weeks. Any
Uh-huh.
changes? I mean, I don't know. I was just telling my husband over lunch. We get like 4 requests a week for weddings out here, and we don't do weddings. We do
Mm,
like one a year. Usually, people that we know will say,
uh-huh.
okay. And it's so tricky. And I think, other business owners wrestle with this all the time too. It's like just because there's a market for something, should you do it? And it could
Uh-huh.
be really good, but I don't know. So I think, it's kind of figuring out what we want to put our time and energy into and what we think we can do well. And I think we're kind of at that spot
Uh-huh.
right now, but it'll keep adjusting, I'm sure, as the kids get older and as our desires change. And we've thought about winter enterprises. We've got some fun ideas for winter enterprises out here, but winters have been so inconsistent with snow. And I think it's important those of us in agriculture can appreciate kind of the waves of energy that come throughout the year and how we really have to put out a lot of energy certain month, May,
Uh-huh.
October, November, and that period of rest in the winter where we can really focus on bookwork and planning and taxes and connecting with loved ones we
Uh-huh.
haven't had time to see over the busy season. I think we would miss that if we were to try to push ourselves too much in the winter.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I don't blame you. And the wedding thing, yeah, because there's a tremendous amount of revenue that would bring in. And obviously, the best day to do that would be on Sunday when you're closed. But then that means you're really, yeah, I completely understand why you don't do it. And I'm assuming they want to have the wedding there and you then serve them
Yep.
pizza. Yeah. Because if there was just using the location, you could be like, okay, well, on these 6 days during the year, we're just going to take weekend, a day trip with the kids and let someone else handle this. So we don't even have to be on site. But because they want the pizza, then it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. And, it's easier said than done to just have someone be at your place.
Well, yes, yes, yeah. Well, I was just thinking if you had staff already who knew the whole runaround, and they wanted to work. But you're right. I mean, and then you're going to be worrying about, oh, is everything working okay? So yeah, I get it, I get it. But I also know you could probably charge $3,000-4,000 for just the facility.
Yeah, yeah. But then, nothing out here. We don't have an enclosed facility. It's all open air. And so weather is still a factor. And I feel like it's been nicer.
Yeah.
On pizza nights, obviously, we want people to have a perfect weather experience, whatever that means to.
Uh huh.
But on a wedding, it just matters a little bit more. And the stakes are a little
Uh
higher.
huh.
And I think that stress just isn't something that we would enjoy. this
Yeah, yeah. Well, go back to that glamping you said. You're worried about the tents falling down on people.
Yeah. I mean, it never ended.
Yeah.
We've had 80-mile-an-hour winds, and those tents always stayed standing. Yet, and it's a crazy storm, you still work.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you, I would not want to be that guest in that tent at 80-mile-an-hour winds.
No. Several times we went up there with this little bell we'd ring and just say, hey, just so you know, there's like such and such a warning. And people would be like, okay, cool. I think we're just going to stay up here. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's well, but those type of people, that's what they enjoy. I bet that was the highlight of their year.
Oh yeah, unforgettable.
Yeah, truly.
Really made a mark. So no, I mean life's pretty good. We just kind of keep refining and figuring out
Uh-huh.
better ways of doing things. And we are super fortunate. I mean, Tom and I are the only full-time people on our farm, but during the season we have about 20 people on our payroll because we need
Oh, wow.
people plus Tom and I to work a pizza night. So we really only
Oh, wow.
20 hours of midweek labor to help prep for pizza.
Uh-huh.
And on pizza nights, we have 8 people each working about 5 hours each plus us. So
Okay, so then is the dough hand stretched or are you rolling it?
all hands.
Okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
on a pizza night, we've got 2 people that are solely dedicated to stretching dough, 2 people that are topping, and then one that's
Okay.
loading. And then outside, we'll have typically 2 or 3 people plus Tom and I.
Okay. Yeah, because that was the one thing, Curtis Millsap is, he does pizza night too. And I was talking to him about the labor requirements. And, we actually had thought of doing pizza here at our farm. And I actually bought an old fire truck, a yellow fire truck. And I was going to literally rip the back off and build a mobile kitchen and a pizza oven right in the back of the fire truck. And we just realized we grew so fast. We just realized it wasn't going to be for us. But at some point in my life, there is that aspect that would be really cool. So,
Yeah, for sure. Everybody loves pizza.
oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's our standard Saturday night fare here at the house. So we were like, well, we want pizza anyway. We might as well just invite everyone else in the neighborhood. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast today and sharing your story and what you guys going on. It's super cool what you're doing for your community. And thanks so much again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your week. Good luck with the season.
All right. Thank you.
So there you have it, another episode in the books. So I'd love if you would hop on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. Those mean everything to us. We love to hear what you're thinking. If you have a podcast guest that you can recommend, please pop on over to the Thriving Farmer Podcast website and leave us a review. That's thrivingfarmerpodcast.com.